Hi, this is Olena Centeno. I'm the founder of Bilingual Kids Rock and the host of Bilingual Kids Rock Podcast. In this video, I'm going to talk about bilingualism and open-mindedness. Recently, I came across a study from Concordia University, it's in Canada, and it was done by two psychology professors, KRISTA BYERS-HEINLEINORE and DIANE POULIN-DUBOIS. Hopefully I said those names right. But the study's headline was very thought-provoking. Are bilingual kids more open-minded? As a part of the study, 44 Montreal area children between the ages of 5 and 6 were shown two faces on a computer screen. Audio recordings were played for each face. One read a phrase in the child's native accent, while another read the same phrase in a foreign accent. Researchers deliberately chose a foreign accent that was unfamiliar to any of the children and varied associations between faces and voices. Child participants were asked to point to the face that they would prefer to have as a friend, and most chose faces that corresponded with their native accent. So two professors, they concluded that bilingual children are not showing any more open-mindedness than their unilingual peers, monolingual peers. We know that there are a lot of benefits of being bilingual and multilingual, but is open-mindedness one of them? It was a fun topic to research, and I will give you 5 reasons why I think that bilingualism is a great tool to raise open-minded global citizens. First of all, what does it mean to be open-minded? The definition of open-minded is a willingness to try new things or consider new ideas. An example of an open-minded person is one who listens to her opponent in a debate to see if the information makes sense or if she can change her mind. Now let me give you 5 reasons why I think that bilingualism helps for a child to grow up to be more open-minded. And first reason is that the language is a door to the culture. As Barbara Pearson states, languages express the wisdom of cultures, and different cultures represent different ways of living on the earth. The language allows bilingual children to be active participants in many heritage cultural practices like folklore, arts, festivals, religion, jokes, family relationships, etc. Of course, you can translate a lot of things, but most deep you can experience cultural events if you know that language. For example, in our family, there is a good example of this, that jokes. My husband does not understand 50% of the jokes that I translate him from Russian or Ukrainian into English. The reason why is because there is a lot of sense lost in translation. There is a cultural underlying, like a base of that joke. It's just lost in translation. So not everything can be translated. And bilinguals and multilinguals and children who speak several languages, they have a wonderful opportunity to experience cultural practices on a very deep level. Reason number 2 is in the language itself, or I'll call it linguistic relativity. It's actually, I'm calling it by the name of a theory that was developed in the 20th century by two professors, SAPIR and Benjamin Lee WHORF. The theory says that the structure of the language impacts the way we see the world. This theory has actually been disputed during 20th century a lot, but there are still a lot of language studies have done to show that even though the language structure does not change or determine our worldview, but it has a very big impact on that. Let me give you one example, one study. It was actually a very interesting study, and it was done by PANOS ATHANASOPOULOS of Lancaster University, and he conducted the study using with German and English native speakers, and then with bilingual German and English speakers. He showed participants video clips of events with emotion in them. One was a woman walking toward the car, and another one is a man cycling toward the supermarket. And then he asked participants to describe the scene. When he gave the scene like that to a monolingual German speaker, they would tend to describe the action and also the goal of the action. So they would say something like, a woman walks toward her car, or a man cycles toward the supermarket. Versus English monolingual speakers would simply describe those scenes as a woman is walking or a man is cycling, without mentioning the goal of the action. The worldview assumed by German speakers is a holistic one. They tend to look at the events as a whole, whereas English speakers tend to zoom in on the event and focus only on the action. And interestingly, when they gave the same task to bilinguals in German and English, the answers actually varied dramatically depending on their language environment that the test was given. For example, if it was a German-English bilingual and the tests were conducted in an English surrounding or in Great Britain, then they thought more like English speakers, and it's reverse. English and German bilinguals with the study conducted in Germany, they thought more like German speakers. So it definitely depended on the location where the test took place. So how do bilinguals benefit from this theory, linguistic relativity? People who speak 2 or more languages tend to have 2 or more perspectives of the world, and it does not stop here. Bilinguals are more likely to realize that her 2 ways are just 2 of many possible in the world. This is the great foundation to be more tolerant towards opinions of others, or in other words, to be more open-minded. Okay, so reason number 3 is double the knowledge. And this is a benefit that bilingual people, children, and bilingual adults, they'll reap off this benefit if they are biliteral. Basically, they can read and write in 2 languages. And I'll share one story with you from my own experience. When I grew up, the history of World War II was something that we learned pretty much half of my school years. I also grew up with my grandma being around, and she had her personal experience, and she was in concentration camps. So she experienced World War II. And I knew a lot of people who were affected by World War II, and they had their own stories. Basically, I thought that I know the history of World War II very good. But then when we moved into the United States, and here among my husband's books on his bookshelf, I found several books about World War II. They were written definitely in English, with my husband's books, and different authors. But when I picked up those books and I started to read that, I realized how much I was missing. I didn't know a thing about American side, or the way Americans actually took a big part in World War II. You know, it might be very surprising, but I didn't know how big of a part it was. Probably because Soviet Union had a very subjective way of describing the history of World War II. But my point here is that my ability to read and write in several languages allowed me to read and to see the same events in a different light, from different perspectives, which again, as a conclusion, I would guess, okay, if there is 2 different ways to look at this event, there are probably going to be even more ways. So this is, again, the great basic foundation for open-mindedness. Reason number 4 is divergent thinking. And this is the area that bilinguals been shown that they really excel in divergent thinking. And what is it? This is basically the ability of person to find more solutions to the problem, to the task. And divergent thinking is a foundation for creativity. Basically, creative people are those who are actually looking for inspirational ideas, for more ideas, and they keep their minds open for new ideas coming their way. So this is divergent thinking, creativity, open-mindedness. This is almost like a chain reaction, and bilingual children have been shown in the task that they excel in this task. And the reason number 5, it's connection. What is connection? Is basically when you speak several languages, you feel more connected to the person who shares languages with you, the same languages with you. And Coming back to that study from Concordia University that I mentioned in the very beginning, and as you remember, the study showed that bilingual children still preferred to be friends with a child who shared the same language and the same accent. So researchers, they concluded that bilingual children did not show more open-mindedness. But what I think is, it's simply the age of the children. I really think that if a 6-year-old showed the preference to be a friend with a person who speaks with no accent his language, I still think that this bilingual child has a very big potential to grow up open-minded, just because of all those 5 reasons I just mentioned. Can you raise a child who is open-minded but does not speak several languages? I think yes, of course. Language is not the only tool that helps you with the goal to raise an open-minded person. There are many other ways, just your parenting style, the way you expose child to different ideas. But it seems like knowing several languages and having the ability to tap into a knowledge of from different cultures, from different books written in several languages, seems like it's just one of the greatest way to raise an open-minded global citizen.